I hear this statement so often. I have tried everything. What makes this thing different? What like it's not going to be any different. And I'm not here to actually prove but let's kind of dive into that one.
Mm-hmm.
We get it.
I mean, we've kind of touched on it a little bit already, where we don't just, Ayurveda doesn't look at a person as their disease or their ailment. They're looked at as a whole person. So a lot of what the prescription that Ayurveda would give, they can call it prescription over there. We don't get to call it prescription over here. They do a very thorough, and once again, they can use diagnosis over there. We can't use it here, but they do a very thorough diagnosis and an intake. And they uncover things about you that you're like, oh, I haven't thought about that in years, or I forgot that happened. And whether it's an experience, trauma, because when you're doing therapies, they're very sensitive to the storage of trauma in the body and where that lives. So it's a thorough intake, and they look at different parts of your life. Yeah, they look at your food and what you're eating, because diet is at the crux of everything in Ayurveda, because it's all about digestive fire, which in Ayurveda is called Agni. And Agni does not just relate to digesting food. So it also relates to digesting emotions and thoughts and experiences. And so many of us like tamp down those things, and we're like, we'll deal with that later, and later never comes. And then all of a sudden you're erupted in some kind of skin disorder or something. And it's like, where did that come from all of a sudden? Well, it's been building for a long time. So the goal is with Ayurveda is to bring the body back into balance so it can heal itself. It's not about fixing this or fixing that or pinpointing this and giving this drug for this, and in Ayurveda, they don't use drugs. Medicine is herbs. And sometimes an animal product, very rarely. But it's mostly herbs and plants and food. Food is the biggest one, and spices. So the beautiful thing is your group will be able to go to some spice plantations and bring back the good stuff. I say bring a half-empty suitcase.
I've heard that before. I've heard a whole empty suitcase, actually. So that you know what, and just to ride on that a little bit too. So most of the women, well, all of the women that are coming to this too, they've done a lot of that inner work. Mm-hmm. They have, yes, put a tag on that one, shelf that one, like they've done all of that inner work. And the whole point of the Keystone is actually, it's not about doing more of the inner work. We don't need to do more of the flipping inner work. Integration is really what this is about. And sometimes if we put things on a shelf here or stuck it in a closet over there, we're not integrating it. And
it comes back to bite you.
You know what? There's an experience that has been given to you in that particular moment, right? And what you want to be able to do is actually discern and integrate that discernment.
Yes.
And if you've stuck it off onto a shelf or into a closet or something, there's no discernment in that. You're blocking the entire experience. You're not able to pull out the good stuff. And what I really like about Ayurveda in particular is its ability to see you as a whole. Yes. It's its ability to go, you're a whole being, and all of this stuff has happened to you. And so how do you extract the good stuff and wash out the stuff that's not important anymore, or detach from the stuff?
Is basically the Agni would digest it and to process it, right? Like And without processing it, it becomes a byproduct. You know, like it's just like this thing sitting on the side, getting in the way. And they're like, oh, why do I keep making these same choices? Why do I keep dating the same person? Why do I keep, you know, staying up late at night or whatever it is, right? We all have our thing. And because it's still there, you haven't dealt with it. And it's painful sometimes to deal with, especially stuff if we've had trauma as children. And the only way we really know how to deal with things as a child is to kind of put it away, right? Unless we've had a really thoughtful person in our life to be like, I'm going to help you now, because later on this is going to suck for you, right? But how many of us had that growing up? I don't know. I didn't. But it's a matter of just being able to process and, like you say, remove. And then once you do that, the body is freer because it doesn't have that burden anymore. And if you think about like this, tucking it on the shelf, stuffing it over here, that just increases the burden, right? And on the body. And you look at what our body is trying to do is just keep up with us. And the more burden, it's like literally you're lugging this bag behind you that weighs like 100 pounds one year, the next year it's 200 pounds, and it just keeps getting heavier and heavier. And in Ayurveda, the beautiful thing is it's actually recommended every year to do a panchakarma, so that you're constantly, yes, we're going to build up stuff because we're living and we're humans and we should be accumulating experiences and toxins just because the air is toxic, the water's toxic. And the goal is that every year you just put aside time, go somewhere and get rid of it and process it and give yourself that time to do that and be taken care of so that you can heal. And then the following year, it gets easier and easier and easier, right? Instead of harder and harder and harder. And as we get older, our body wants easier. You know, like, I don't want it to be so hard anymore. Like, I worked hard enough already.
That might be a little bit in my face, but yeah. When was the last time I said that? Oh, where's the black hair? Yeah, and that's
an opportunity to recognize it, because a lot of us, we may not remember it. We might have shut it down. I know I sat with an Ayurvedic doctor at one property years ago, and he had me crying in the first 10 minutes because he said something about me. He read my pulse. He looked at, you know, did the whole thing, and he knew immediately what was going on in my life. And I was like, whoa, are you psychic? Yeah, sometimes they do seem like they are psychic, but they're so in tune with the energy in your body.
Okay, but I want to, because this kind of brings up the next thing too, is how would a woman know? Because honestly, you know, you go away and you don't necessarily want somebody all up in your business kind of, you know, right away, right? So it's not so much, I'm not asking for, I'm asking to find out, how would a woman know that she's ready for this? How would she know that she's done all the inner work? She's done it all. She's done the talk stuff. She understands. She's met with me a few times, and we got the device stuff down. We got the the biometrics that are reading it all out. And then it's like, how would she know that she's ready to do something like this?
If you're asking yourself that question, you're ready. I mean, and actually, before you get to that question is when you're ready. When you're asking the question is when your mind catches up to yourself being ready. And also, I think about, there's nothing to lose from it. You know, people do try all this other stuff. They're trying this for weight loss. They're trying this for blood pressure. They're trying this for whatever thing. And it's like, what if you could go somewhere where you weren't going to be pushed into anything? It's a graceful experience. You're being taken care of, and you're eating good food, and you're feeling really good in your body, and your mind is going to be clearer, and you're in nature.
You know,
And you're sleeping great. Like, what else do you want?
Check, check, check.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think though that in a simpler way of saying, if you're to the point where you're going, all right, I'm ready.
Mhm.
I need to just like clear through the weeds here so that I can catch my breath. And that's really understanding more about where you're at, and that you've done the work. You got a good understanding, but all of this stuff is moving so fast around you that you really feel like I just need to catch up with myself, and I need to do that integration. So if you're actually feeling like, you know what, enough already, I've done all I need to do, I just need like some space to create that recalibration, if you will, the integration. So if you're craving for a break,
Mhm.
if you're craving for, right, okay, I just need that final dusting and cleaning, and then we can move on, because that's all I want to be, then that means that you are really ready for something that is deep and integrative, that brings all of that stuff together, and make sure that all of your shelves in your closets are all cleaned up, right? Because that's really where Ayurveda can take you to that next level.
Yeah. I mean, Ayurveda it can be very clinical as well. So, I mean, miracles have happened with Ayurveda. Like, people that are told they can't walk again are walking again. People are told that, right? Same. And the beautiful thing about this particular experience is it's more about, we're so used to doing. Women, all we do is do the dishes, do the laundry, do the spreadsheets, do the presentation, do this, do that, walk the dog, feed the cat,